Welcome to the Hibiscus Tea Cafe, and I am Dr. Ludmila. Today we're going to have a special guest who's going to talk about his book that is named Welcome to the Rock Bottom University. Jeffrey Lee came to me to buy some tea, and little did I know that he was looking for more than healing. Rock Bottom University is his journey to wellness after literally hitting rock bottom in his health, especially his mental health. And today we're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to talk about how mental health impacts the rest of our lives, how it impacts our career, and what we can do to better mind our mental health as well as our physical health. So grab your favorite cup of tea and join me at the Hibiscus Tea Cafe. Welcome to the Hibiscus Tea Cafe, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Being here, and yes, thank you for spending time with us.
Yes.
Yes, amazing. So, of course, the reason that I invited you was not only because I think that's a great time to talk to some men instead of just the women, but your book, Welcome to Rock Bottom University. So I wrote down a lot of questions because I'm reading the book, and I think it's an amazing book, and I think everybody should read it. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was when you came to the Hibiscus Tea Cafe to start drinking some hibiscus. Were you already writing the book, or were you just on the path?
Yeah, I've been writing the book for 5 years.
Wow.
So I've been working on the book for 5 years. So when I came to Hibiscus Tea Cafe, I was probably on the back end of finishing up the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so tell me about the title, Welcome to Rock Bottom University. What does rock bottom mean to you?
Rock bottom is when you hit a place in your life that the only thing that you can look forward is to move up because you can't go any further. And for me, it was medical. Not financial, it was medical. And I think most importantly was, I didn't see it coming. It was like I got hit with a sucker punch that I did not see coming. Let me probably add to it. I knew I was dealing with some mental health issues as an executive in corporate America, but I didn't see it transitioning to physical health issues that took me ultimately, put me on my deathbed. That I didn't see coming.
So what was it that made you say, this is the final straw, I can't live like this anymore? Where were you? Give us a picture of where you were in life, what was going on, and what made you say, this is it, I gotta do something.
Well, it's interesting. I remember I was in New Jersey, and I moved my family around 1,000 times with these corporate jobs. My kids were over that. They're like, Dad, we don't want to move up to New Jersey. So yeah, I moved to New Jersey, which was the last place I wanted to go to. I'm born and raised in Philly, and moved to Raleigh, Florida the first time around. The last thing I'm thinking about is going back up north.
Right.
And not up to New Jersey. And my wife wasn't buying into it either. So we made the decision at that point. My youngest daughter was in 12th grade. So we decided to leave her in North Carolina. I negotiated with Campbell's that I would relocate in a year's time. I would get an apartment. So I did that for a minute, and I was running back. I was traveling. Oh my gosh, unbelievable travel. Traveling for the company, traveling, coming back and forth to see family, and also taking on this new role. And it was a tremendous amount of pressure. And I think about year 2, I knew I was starting to have some issues. And I didn't like the way I felt. My workouts that I was so consistent of doing in the past started to drop off because I was traveling so much. I couldn't even remember which hotel, which rental cars I was driving. And one thing led to another, and I just started feeling not like myself. And I went into prayer, and I just couldn't get comfortable. So finally, I went to a revival, because I knew I was having issues. I knew I was really struggling. I was still functioning very well business-wise, but it was just so much. And then when I went to the revival, the brother's name was Heyman Cross out of Detroit, Michigan. I can't remember the title of his sermon, but I remember that he was talking about some of y'all got real severe mental health issues. And I'm sitting there, well, he talking to me, because I got them. And I asked my wife to look around for a psychologist that I can talk to. I didn't think psychiatrist at the time. But after hearing that sermon, I'm like, you know what? I need a psychiatrist as well. So I reached out to my cousin. She was in the medical field. She said, hey, I got somebody you should talk to. And that began the process of seeking some help because I knew it was getting to a point where it was like, oh man, I was sleeping that well, I'm traveling. And I said to myself, nothing's going to change. And oh, by the way, I'm like, okay, you're making big money, so you kind of get hooked on that dollar.
Right.
And I'm like, we got to go to some help. And that's when I made I got introduced to the psychiatrist. And that was fascinating to me because I'm like, hold up. You're a successful executive. You work some of the best companies in the world. You run a big business with Campbell Soup, and why are you saying psychiatrist? But kind of going back to listening to that sermon, and when I started having a conversation with the young lady, she said, Jeff, I can tell you need some help. And she says, there's medicine that potentially help you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be doing no medicine. And she kept putting pressure on me for about 4 weeks about looking at medicine. And I kept telling myself, no way. Well, all of a sudden, I started thinking, I'm not sleeping that well. I'm thinking too much. My confidence challenged. I'm back on another airplane. If I'm not on the airplane going all over the country, now I'm flying back to North Carolina to spend quality time with my family. I'm like, this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well for me. And finally, I decided to do the medicine, Prozac and Ativan. And I'm like, oh man, then I'm Googling, researching this stuff, and I'm like, am I going to be on this the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And she said, oh no, you're going to be on for a period of time. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is probably going to have all kinds of impact on me. And it started the Prozac, she said, would take 4 to 6 weeks before it really kicks into your system. The Ativan was a different conversation. She said, the Ativan, Jeff, anytime you are starting to really feel stressed, you can pop it and it will calm you down. But I said to myself, nah, you know what? I'm going to wait till I go back to North Carolina. I'm going to be around my wife and family before I pop something that's going to have that kind of impact on me because I was scared about it.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning. Yeah, that was the beginning of it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And my wife said, how do you feel? I said, well, this thing really calms you down, but it makes you really tired. And that was the starting point. And from there, I was starting to feel better. But the thing people miss on mental health is what's going on inside your body.
Yes.
And that was the game changer. And that game changer was January the 16th, 2013, I'm on a business trip. I woke up that morning, I flew from Philly to San Francisco. I woke up that morning to Marriott, feeling, I'm okay, maybe I should go work out. I ain't totally myself. Led a meeting, took a break, got on an elevator to go from the first floor to the second floor to pick up a jacket because I'm taking a group out for lunch. And from the first floor on that elevator to the second floor, bam, I'm out. And there was a couple in front of me, so they must have called 911. I never saw it. To go from, there's only 3 of us in the elevator. I'm pushing number 2, and they were going higher, so to go from just the first floor to the second floor in the elevator is about 10 seconds at best.
Yeah.
Get to the second floor now. So I got rushed to the hospital. I'm on the floor. Everybody who worked for me saw me. I threw up. Bowels broke me. What an embarrassing moment. And then I get rushed to the hospital, and that's when I find out I had internal bleeding. I was a guy that pretty much stayed a little bit on top of his health, but I didn't even notice that until I got back to the hotel. And when I got back to the hotel, I'm like, oh wow, I do got some bleeding going on. But again,
So they rushed you to the hospital and then they released you.
They released me. And they didn't know, I guess, I made some huge mistakes. They told me to go see my primary. My primary is back in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm 900 miles across country. So again, I was a little bit concerned about it, but they told me I was also dehydrated, and I'm thinking, okay, get some food, you're gonna be cool, you'll be able to make it back to North Carolina without a problem, don't tell the team. Still stick around, I'm just gonna take the group the next day on the team building trip to Alcatraz. So we're going on the Alcatraz trip. And I'm like, okay, you should be able to do that. Well, that evening, I'm taking them to dinner. The guys are gonna walk. The ladies who work for me, they were gonna take a cab. I'm like, you know what? Go with the ladies, you should take a cab. Well, when I get down, the lady said that they wanted to walk. And once we started walking up, San Francisco, we started walking up, it's about 55 degrees out, beautiful evening. And the next thing you know, I'm like, man, the city's starting to turn on me a little bit. There was one guy with me. And I'm like, oh man, I ain't not feeling too good. Now I'm sweating like there's no tomorrow, 55 degrees out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going back down. So I told the guy, his name was Joe. I said, Joe, grab me. I said, I'm gonna pass out. And when I was going down, there happened to be, God is good, there was a chair there. It was almost like it was designed just for me. And I sat in that chair, the ladies came back and they looked at me and they said, you gotta go back to the hospital. Nah, hard head, not me. And the guy who was known to have exceptional thought and leadership in corporate America, I'm making the biggest bonehead decisions of my life around my health. And that was the whole process. And then I called my wife. I said, you ain't gonna believe it. I passed out twice. And one day I got rushed to the hospital. I'm bleeding, and I'm gonna make an attempt to come back to North Carolina tomorrow. Not go to Jersey where I got an apartment. I'm coming back to North Carolina. And that was kind of the beginning of the end, because the last thing you want to do is get on an airplane, 2 airplanes, passed out twice the day before, and then also you're bleeding profusely now from my rectum. Good news is I made it, but it came back to haunt me. So I made it to Raleigh, went to my primary. He tells me, your blood counts are 4. We gotta get you to the hospital. So he called, dude, they were ready for me. I got there, I got surgery, and then I got 13 blood transfusions. So I'm in the hospital 3 weeks.
13 blood transfusions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm the guy that when I go get blood work, I gotta look the opposite direction. now they're bringing bags of blood in.
Oh Lord.
And then I asked the old crazy question, excuse me, can I get AIDS from this? And they said, sir, if we don't give you this blood, you're gonna die. So I stayed in the hospital for 3 weeks and I started soul searching because I had no computers, nothing but time, me and God. And at that point, I said to myself, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna go back to this company and try to make this work? Am I gonna be able to adjust myself? Because they're not gonna adjust. This is basically gonna be there. You gotta do what you gotta do. And I was like, oh man, I got so much at stake. But I said, okay, when I left the hospital, my game plan was to go back up to Jersey. When I got home, I'm home for 2 days. I can't breathe. I'm thinking moving all kinds of movements to try to see how can I get more air in my diaphragm. And next thing I know, I called my oldest daughter because my wife was out walking the dogs. And I said, you can get me back to the hospital. She said, really? I said, yeah, I can't breathe. And she knew it was bad because when I got in the car, I declined to put the seat so far back that I can get myself breathing. And from there, I got to that hospital and they're like, what are you doing back here again? You like us that much? I said, no, not really. I said, I can't breathe. And that's when they did the exam and they came back to me. This is rock bottom. They said, you got a problem. And I've always looked at problems. Yeah, I don't look at a problem. If there's a solution, it's not a problem. Right. When they tell me you got a problem, I'm like, what's the problem? He said, hey, you got 6 blood clots on your lungs, and they're coming up from your legs. That airplane that you were on is causing you all kinds of issues. So I said, okay, well, do what you got to do to make me better. He said, unfortunately, what we need to do is to give you, blood thinners. But if we give you blood thinners, you'll bleed out. It's over. So I said, I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, what's plan B? They said, there really is no plan B, Jeff. This is probably not gonna end well for you. Let me tell you something. The emotion at that point, my anxiety was off the chart because I couldn't breathe. To hear that news, I was extremely depressed. I'm like, I can't believe I'm hearing this. And then the ultimate was, and I shared this last week when I spoke at the PGA, And most men don't want to say it. But I said it with that group, and I'll say it again. I was scared. And I don't care how much faith you think you got in God. When somebody tells you you're going to die, it's a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
And it scared the living daylights out of me. And conversation I have, I can't even tell you the conversation I had with God, but the ultimate answer to it all was doctors came back, they were able to open my stomach up, put a metal filter in me, protect the clots that were in my legs coming up, and then I had to chill for about 6 months before they can get blood tests. I was just ringing a bell for my wife to come constantly take care of me. With all that being said, I had hit rock bottom because now this guy that was running and gunning all over the place with all these companies, I said to myself, wow, the thing I pride myself on was my invincibility physically. And now that's gone.
Right.
And oh, by the way, I'm going to be challenged mentally. And that made me have a whole new perspective. And I didn't think about writing a book. Let me just be clear about it. When that happened, I was not thinking about writing a book. But as time went on and I had a chance to reflect, I still wasn't thinking about writing a book about rock bottom. I was thinking about writing a book about all my success and how people lead in corporate America, managing teams, running P&L. And then God said, hold up, bro.
Tools for success.
Yeah, tools for success. There you go. Thank you. Well said. Tools for success. That's great words.
Yeah.
And then God said, nah, you're missing the whole point. I'm going to give you a chance to do a little bit of that.
Right.
But I need you to talk about me and some of the mistakes that you made. And I need you to talk about how I delivered you through this. And oh, by the way, use this experience that you had, what you went through with medical, to be able to touch somebody else's life. It may not be they're going through the same medical situation. It could be financial. It could be something completely different. But this is going to be your moment in time that you thought you were all that in a bag of chips when you were the big man on campus with these corporate jobs. But you're going to do more. You're going to have more impact from this role that you're in now, working your way back up and touching people's lives and being extremely authentic. And I think the biggest thing for me was talking to the guys. Because a lot of, particularly African-American men, we're secret agents.
Yes, yes, indeed. And you know, the song that comes to mind from when I used to sing in the choir, How I Got Over.
Oh, yeah, I love that song.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure God was like, oh, let me show you how you got over.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yes, you all are secret agents, which is why you're here, and I'm so happy that you're allowing me. I've got clearance. I got clearance, yes. Wow. So how was that? I mean, the whole idea of, so you know from yourself, okay, we don't talk about our health.
That's correct.
The guys, right?
Yeah.
Now, God, you're telling me that I need to go and talk about this, but I need to not talk about the tools for success. I need to talk to my brothers. And I need to do it in a way that they understand that you are in control, and you were in control this whole time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I tell people now, I said, guys, we were doing great when I was driving. But then you decided, Jeff, not only not make me shotgun, you put me in the back seat and thought you were all at the bag of chips, and now you're in a pickle. Now you're calling on me again. Yeah. So I'm very authentic about it with anybody, female, even my own daughters. They didn't know how sick I was. Yeah. So I am and mental health stuff runs in my family a little bit. I can be real, particularly my mom, my siblings. So I have never been more authentic about it. Nobody's talking enough about it. I don't know what the funding looks like, but I'm going to be out there speaking on it over and over again. And I'm going to spend a lot of time, particularly at the university level. So I've got enough in the book to still talk about career stuff, but I really want to get in people's minds and let them know what's in.
I'm glad to hear that, because so as a professor, I remember teaching students who were going to get a doctorate in public health. And sitting in my class, I remember one young lady, younger than my daughter, ending up in the hospital because of high blood pressure. And I'm thinking to myself, there's something wrong with this picture. We are trying to get a degree to be a doctor of public health, but our health is in shambles while we're getting it. So, the idea that being busy in America and being busy in your career is almost a badge of honor.
It is.
You're busy. Oh, you're so busy with your life. Everybody's busy.
Yeah.
But we rarely see being busy as a detriment to your health.
Yeah.
So, can you speak on that?
Yeah, let me give you an example. It's interesting. I had this conversation just yesterday at the pool. Brother, we just started talking. And I got in a conversation of my mental health thing, and he was like blown away. So he tells me, he said, "I've had a similar experience." And he said, I was playing baseball. He said, I started having heart problems. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I went to the doctor, and they told me that I should really take it a little bit more serious and get it checked out. He said, I'll come in, I gotta play a baseball game this evening. He said, don't play the baseball game. He said, you didn't come in and get self-checked out. He tells me, this conversation last night, he said, Jeff, I want to play this baseball game. He said, matter of fact, it was a doubleheader. He said, I'm out in the outfield, and he said, now all of a sudden the pressure on my chest was getting crazy. He said, it was so bad that our team we were now asked to come out of the field because we had gotten 3 outs. He said, I couldn't move. The other team comes out, and the guy's coming out to be stand next to me. He said, why are you still out here? You need to be going up. Your team's up the bat. He said, I couldn't move. So finally he goes up, and he told the rest of the team he can't play anymore. He's got to go back to the doctor. So he goes back to the hospital, and they do tests on him. And they said, according to some of them, I felt like I was missing it, but he said that they didn't react as serious, but they said, we're probably going to do some more tests on you. He said, well, you may come back. He said he had left the hospital. He's going to a restaurant to have breakfast. They called him back and said, you got to get back in here now. He said, well, I'm about to have some breakfast. He's already got his menu ordered out. He's going, and make a long story short, he was having a heart attack. And he said, just like a lot of folks, he didn't take it as serious. He really didn't. But to go back to your question, when you are in, sometimes they say you're in the forest, you can't see the trees. When you're out there running and gunning, just like you just said, you're busy and you think your success is all built on the things you're doing. Right. People are kind of elevating your ego. Oh man, you're so successful. You're all this and all that. And you really start smelling yourself. And for me, I was a guy that always enjoyed, working out and taking care of myself. The problem that I was having is, and I overlooked it, was because I was doing a lot of whining and dining with customers. I mean, late at night. Usually alcohol was part of that process, meaning that I get back to the hotel late in the evening and I'm up early in the morning, and it was just a revolving door that just kind of got more challenges as I got a little bit older. On top of that, now I'm in my 50s. So now I'm looking at this wind of, okay, I got to make this run here because I'm now planning for retirement. So this ain't no time to pull back. This is the time you need to take it up another level, not knowing that your body may not necessarily been feeling that way because you've been beating it up for the last 15 or 20 years. And then here's the thing that was also kind of a watch out, and I'm so adamant about it now. You got to find the right doctor. You got to find doctors that care, and not doctors that are on, being paid by the pharmaceutical companies. Here's the reason why I say that, and I've just went through this process here in Florida over the last 2 years. You get doctors coming now, and they're looking at the clock.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they can't walk another page. Yeah, you got any more questions? Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot more center, and I've changed 3 doctors. I finally got a doctor at a program. It's called 65 Plus, and I was so blown away when I met this doctor.
Advent Health.
Advent Health, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Advent Health. And I get in the chair, and he's like, man, Jeffrey, I love your background. I'm like, you love my background? He said, yeah, I did research on you. I've never had a doctor check my resume out or even thought about it.
That's amazing.
Not to be so long-winded, but yeah, that's my story.
No, but that's good.
Yeah.
That's good because I was thinking about that when you were talking about the doctors in the emergency room and then ultimately going back home and literally having to ask the doctor, well, what are we going to do? And the doctor's saying there's not much we can do. So up until then, I'm hearing you having gone to doctors who have treated the symptoms, but not the underlying issues.
Yeah.
And I think that we, especially here in America, we become so accustomed to going to the doctor just to treat symptoms. We're not taught this in school. We're not even in medical school. We learn to treat people with medication.
Mm-hmm.
We don't learn to look at underlying
Right.
issues. And I remember when I met you first, we were talking about the tea and the concept of flushing your kidneys and your liver, but looking at lifestyle, right? It's not just about drinking the tea, but your whole lifestyle. And to your point, when you have these successful careers, we can all write the tools for success, but those tools for success do not include per se your lifestyle, because when you go to these executive meetings, there's these lavish dinners and lunches and breakfasts, and alcohol is mostly in it because that's also a sign of success. Right? You can't sit there and all your buddies are drinking, Grand Marnier and margaritas and tequilas, and you're saying, I want a cup of tea. They'll probably laugh at you.
Absolutely correct.
And so that peer pressure is also real.
It is real.
And I think that that's something that we also have to focus on. And then on the other hand, the example that I always use is, for instance, you have a beautiful car out there. Now let's say that you're driving around and you're too busy. You forgot that the tank is almost empty, and your car stops right in front of my driveway. Now you might knock on the door and say, "Do you have some extra gasoline?" But if I don't have the right gasoline, coconut oil is not going to do. Olive oil, you're going to be like, "She's lost it."
Right.
We treat our car much better.
We do.
Than we treat our body. That car, we will get the right oil change, the right tire change, the balance. My husband got up early this morning just to go get some new tires. I mean, we do make those sacrifices for the car.
Yeah.
But our body is so forgiving that the things that we throw in there, it takes a long time for it to manifest itself, right? So then you get to where we are now, and you have men talking about, well, it's just a little something. And at retirement age, it's just part of age. Yeah. So do you often hear men talking about that, or women for that matter, that when you're talking about certain things that we have to take care of, that our lifestyle changes, that we also take for granted that some of the things that we experience, it's not a matter of age, it's a matter of lifestyle.
It is.
And how do you respond to that?
I tell you, one of the most difficult things for me right now is I've got better success outside of family than I do in family. I mean, I've got a brother that's challenged. I've got some other family members that's challenged. I even have a cousin. I mean, he makes cancer seem like it's nothing but a cold. And he's actually been dealing with it for well over a year and still not got it resolved. My daughters, they know me now. I'm passionate, about you checking under the hood, doing the bed, and they're, oh my gosh, they're self. And when I go visit them, how they cook, they're extremely health conscious, and their exercise program is strong. So I sit back now and I wrote the book. I'm like, okay, you know what? Now I see it. They are living exactly the way I want them to live their lifestyle. But when I look around me and I go back up to Philly. Let me keep it real. I'm going to Philly probably next week. I've got a lot of friends I came up with. And I still make the effort. I go up there to spend quality time with my mom, who's 97, and get to do caretaking stuff. But I also break off time to go see a lot of my buddies. I got buddies that had 3 strokes. Another buddy I just saw 2 weeks ago, he had lung cancer. He just had surgery. Another buddy of mine just had his leg cut off. Another buddy is recovering from kidney cancer. And I go up there with them. It's fascinating. When I sit up, they look so forward to me coming to spend time with them. And we usually go out, go out for lunch. We don't talk about the future. It's interesting. We always talk about the past. Because the past is something that they can really embrace. It's the good days, the good old times, the things we used to do. the future is a little bit more bleak. So I try to be careful. I try to be encouraging. Hey, how you making out? When's your next doctor's visit? What are they telling you? And sometimes I don't get clarity. And I'm not trying to, just keep prying. I'm just asking them. If they want to tell me more, then tell me more.
Right.
But what they look at me and they're like, man, you really taking care of yourself. Well, I didn't just start taking care of myself the last couple of years. I've been at this thing for a minute.
Right.
I've always been, kind of working out. But now, as I've gotten older, especially after getting sick, I didn't just do the physical thing. I am so into this mental perspective.
Yes.
To me, that is, I know how my mind is. People want to ask me, what do I find when I get turned pro, you put me around some water, I am in a relaxed state. I tell people when I go to the pool over there, the hot tub, the pool, I do my laps, and it's just really relaxing for me. So so when I prepare myself to go to Philly, I have to prepare myself mentally because these things aren't going to be available to me.
Right.
And I've got to prepare myself like I'm going in the war zone, meaning I've got to be really, really strong, managing myself, but also having enough juice to encourage other folks that I come across.
And just like if you took the car with you, the car would get the utmost treatment. The treatment wouldn't change.
Yeah. The treatment wouldn't change.
You wouldn't put any other oil in the car. You wouldn't let the tires run ragged. You wouldn't bump it up. No, you would treat the car this way.
You treat the car, absolutely.
And I think that if we start reminding ourselves more of, we should give ourselves that same treatment that we give those cars.
We should.
Right? Because the car is replaceable.
Yeah.
You only get one life.
You only get one life.
Right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, that doesn't seem to stick. And especially in our community, and this is why I really wanted you to come on at the beginning of the year, because the other thing that we also do is, we start the year off with good intentions.
Yes.
Right? Everybody has good intentions, we have goals, we're gonna eat better, we're gonna go on a diet, we're gonna do this better, we're gonna do more of this, we're gonna be in the gym more. And then as the year progresses, slowly but surely, those things fall off. And then we get to the end of the year, and ironically, November and December is when we put the most whatever in our body.
Absolutely.
Right? I have people who tell me, I'm sorry, I know I need to eat healthy, but I gotta cook this way because this is how my family likes it. And then, regardless of the fact that that you should not eat as much sugar or not as much oil, or that there are alternatives, we don't want to change because the recipe is the way that it was, and we're going to cook it that way at the end of the year. And then at the beginning of the year, we'll just start over again.
Yeah.
And it becomes this vicious cycle, but it's also sort of the definition of insanity.
It is.
Right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We just don't look at it like that. And in the Black community, we also don't talk about it like that.
That's true.
But a lot of our food that we're eating is also so detrimental, and heart disease is still the #1 killer in our community.
Yeah.
Right? So, however we get to that, it still leads to the same outcome.
It does.
So then, to me, I think, as you mentioned, the mental part is extremely important because
critical.
I think the mental part is maybe 80%, the other part is 20%, I would be willing to say.
Yeah.
Because if mentally we can be strong enough to hold on to the things that we know are good for us, right? And say, I know that she's drinking that, but I'm going to keep drinking that because I know what the outcome is if I drink that.
Right.
Without that peer pressure, which is a mental issue also, that would be great, but how we get there, especially as we age,
right?
People don't think they have to do that anymore.
That's
I'm
correct.
retired, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I've worked hard enough, but you worked hard enough for somebody else.
Right.
Now I want to work hard enough for myself.
Right.
And in your book, that's what I'm reading. It's like you're saying, okay, yes, you had a successful corporate career, but this career, becoming the professor of Rock Bottom University, that's the most amazing thing. And then, stress is actually our biggest curriculum. It's the biggest curriculum is stress.
It is.
Right? And when you talk to people, how do you get to talking about the stress part before the physical part? Because a lot of people seem to think, oh, well, it's just something physical. I go to the doctor, get some medication. But the underlying issue, as you experienced, was the stress.
It was the stress.
right?
Yeah.
And we don't realize
Yeah.
that stress can kill.
Yeah, it can kill you, and I didn't see it until. And the reason I respect it now is when they told me I had internal bleeding going on, I didn't see any signs. I didn't see nothing. But once they told me, and I got back to the hotel, I'm like, oh, well, I am bleeding. And I think I told when I spoke at PGA, I never respected stress. I always thought I was invincible because I was running and gunning. People would give me all these praises, and I thought I was keeping myself in half decent shape, but I was slowly dropping off because you're traveling enough, your energy's gonna drop off. You're having late dinners at night. You're drinking wine and that kind of stuff. Just makes you sluggish in the morning.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I ain't working out this morning. I'll get it at the next hotel. And then slowly it creeps up on you, and before you know, you're like, oh wow, I'm not feeling that well. Yeah.
So was there also a part where you said, you know what? Not only do I need to work on the mental issues, but these mental issues are impacted by how I eat.
Yes. Yeah, because and I think a big part of that was when I moved to New Jersey, my wife wasn't with me. She's a great cook. So now I'm up there trying to survive on my own. And I'm like, okay, I haven't cooked in years. Do you think I'm gonna sit there and get a pot and come home and work it all day? I'm gonna sit there, no, I'm gonna go get something easy. I can get something easy, pick something up, Italian restaurant, throw it together, yeah. So the eating thing really took a toll. But here's a bigger piece. Even today, I still say it. My workouts, a lot of times, are symbolic of what I put in my body. So if I work out in the morning, I know I'm not needing anything. I have tea, and I can go out and get a great workout. But if I'm gonna go out and work out in the evening sometimes, I tell my wife, I say, you know what? I gotta go real light because otherwise it's gonna make me very sluggish. And I'm starting to pay more close attention to things that I eat that could trigger stuff, body aches. That's the biggest thing I've been really paying close attention to now because I've been battling some shoulder stuff. And I was at the gym today, I'm like, gosh, what am I doing now that's really soothing my shoulders? Before I was like, because I had playing pickleball, tore my shoulder, my body, and I went and instead of getting surgery, I went and got stem cell.
Okay.
And it worked for about 3.5 years, but probably the last 4 or 5 months, it was like, oh my gosh, it's back again. But then I just noticed these last 3 weeks, I'm taking glycerin. I can't remember what the name of the pill is. And I'm using a lot of ice. I'm watching because that inflammation is a big deal. I've changed my workout, instead of doing stuff like this, I ain't doing that anymore. My wife's like, oh, I need you to put this up. No, I don't go up like that. But yeah, what you put in your body is significant on how your body, if I put that car out there, if I put low-end gas in it, that thing gonna have a problem.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
it's not gonna function.
The right thing.
Yeah, you gotta put the right stuff in your body.
And that's, unfortunately, some of the viewers may say, well, but everybody doesn't have the resources to do that. One of the things that we always try to encourage people on is to not only look at the fancy things that we're eating, but there are some simple things that don't cost as much. So that eating healthy is not as expensive as we think it is. But it's how we're exposed to food and what we're told that it should be. So it's for instance, I tell people, if I took you to the slaughterhouse, you would run. The reason that you're eating it is because it's all cleaned up and seasoning. So if you know how to work with seasonings, you can do a lot of different things. But it does take some skill, and of course, if you haven't done it before, and especially like you said, if you're not the one cooking all the food, then it does become a challenge. But how do you see that being part of the teaching people when they are coming to Rock Bottom University? That mental health is also influenced by our food because our food predicts our mood also, right?
I'll give you an example. I had to drive to camp Friday morning for luncheon, and I left about 5:30 in the morning. I'm driving. I'm like, boy, I'm a little bit hungry. Pull up to a gas station, and I'm like, okay, I gotta be careful with this. They're gonna have breakfast. And then I thought about you. You came to my mind. And It came in my mouth. It's a banana. She said fruit.
Fruit, yes.
I said, okay. I got that banana, had me a bottle of water, and I'm like, I'm good. So that influence that you gave me carried over me. And at any given time, regardless of how hungry I may be, I can always find me a piece of fruit.
Piece of fruit, yes.
Always. You can go to the gas station and they got fruit in there.
Yes.
So when I walked in, I'm like, it's banana. I'm cool. Yeah.
Or the apple, yes.
Or an apple.
Or the berries.
Yeah,
yes.
the berries.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, but I saw the banana, I'm like, okay, this is very mobile. I can grab it,
Right.
keep back in the car, and keep moving.
And it didn't change your mood for the worse. It kept you up.
It
right?
kept me up, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the potassium in, yeah.
You know, it's amazing how, you know, if we stop to think how simple things can really help to make a big difference in how our day goes.
Yeah.
I remember Oprah Winfrey said, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I decided my day is going to be a good day. Nobody decides it for me. So when I wake up and I say it's going to be a good day, I'm reverbing a little bit how she said it, but the gist of it is that I decide my day is going to be good. I also see that with when we get up and we go sit at the table or get in the kitchen, right? That we say, okay, I'm up. God woke me up.
Yep.
I'm gonna have that glass of water, and then whatever else I have after that, I decide how my day is gonna be.
Yep.
Because I decide what goes in my mouth. Similar, and to that end, also then when we go to the doctor, while the doctor is there to treat us, the doctor is our partner. But he works for us.
He does.
Right? He works for us. When we go to the doctor and just like, okay, doctor, fix me, then we have no control over what's going on with us. And I've had people ask me, you know, why do you like to cook so much? And my answer is that it allows me, I'm empowered by cooking because I am the one that's deciding what goes in my body.
Yeah.
And then the promise that I made to myself that morning that my day is going to be good, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But if I go and let everybody else do it, I don't know what's going to be good because I don't know what they put in it.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go out. I'm not telling people to deter from going out, but still, you have to be the captain of your own ship.
Agree.
And I think that that's one of the main issues nowadays is we have a society that lives in convenience.
Big time.
And everything is a quick fix, everything is quick heating up, quick whatever, you know, and mostly artificial.
Yes.
And 70% toxic, 70% of our food is toxic. So that there are a lot of things that we do not have control over, so that the things that we do have control over, let's embrace them.
I think one of the things that you said, and I think with this whole nutrition piece that a lot more conversation needs to be had around, and that is the body of work in terms of preparation.
Yes.
Because if you know tomorrow I'm going to do this, you can already pre-plan your meals. Otherwise, potentially, you could become vulnerable.
Yes.
And I think that's the piece that a lot of people miss. I mean, you're not going to go into the supermarket hungry and be food shopping. That's like the worst thing in the world to do. And then go, oh my gosh, let me buy this.
Right.
But I think the preparation piece, to me, is now become more critical because one of the things I need to do better, which I will promise you I'll commit to doing better, is taking advantage of smoothies. Mm-hmm. Because in the morning, you could throw a bunch of stuff, healthy stuff in a smoothie, and you could be pretty full after you drink that thing.
Oh, yes.
So again, it's getting ahead of the game and preparing. So if I take that next drive, next time up, or anytime I'm driving, you know what? Let me prepare a smoothie. So I got a smoothie in the morning, I got a piece of fruit, and I'm good to go.
And so how has your healing been since the last time in the hospital? Has it been a challenge, or have you been able to say, well, I'm just going to go for it? What was the path there? Because I'm sure there were some challenges there.
A part of the healing process, you mean when I got real sick?
Yes.
I'm telling you, you're going to laugh.
Because that seems like a very...
Solar Vida was critical. I'd come back after being sick for a year. The company was having a national sales meeting. It was in Florida. My sister told me about this place called Solar Vida. I said, okay, I'm down here, you know, let me go by and check it out. I know I don't want to stay in New Jersey, but I know I want to get back to Florida. So I come here, I drive up. I'm sitting outside at the little pizza shop. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting at the table, and I'm going to go over to where they had the houses at, and I'm looking at the people riding around in golf carts. They didn't have a care in the world. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what a lifestyle. I'm like, this is what I need. And then I go through the tour, I'm going in the palms, I'm looking at the pools, and people just like living their best life. And I'm like, you know what? Call my wife up, I said, hey, man, I need you to bring me this place. I said, because this is exactly what I need. Because I had been moving too hard, moving fast, and it's almost like probably the best way to answer your question. If you're an alcoholic and you've been, you're trying to do all the right things, the key becomes once you come back into that environment, which environment are you going into? Are you going back in that same environment that's already put you back and made you sick? Right. So I told myself, I said, man, I can't, I'm getting out of this corporate America. I've got to put myself in an environment that's relaxing, stress-free. People like me, people just seem to be upbeat, beautiful scenery, palm trees, water. And it was significant to this point. When I went back to the office, anytime I was having those moments, even though I know it was transition, I knew I was going to be leaving the company. I had a stressful moment. I go into the little private room, I bring out my computer, I type in Solar Vita. I'd probably do that once or twice a week. And I just look at the pictures. And I look at the pictures and put, hey, Jeff, what's going on in this room? I'm just looking at a couple of things on my computer. They couldn't see it. But I was like, okay, that's me. That I got something to really look forward to. And that's when I began to negotiate with the company. Like, hey, you know what? It's time for me to transition out. So you've got to have something that you can grasp onto that's going to do wonders for you mentally. And for me, I knew I would always stay inclined spiritually, but sunshine, palm trees, water, folks just chilling, safety, in the city, big cities. I mean, I lived and worked in New York, and I'm like, this is really a cool place to be. And it still carries over to me this day. Writing the book, 5 years, I did a portion of it when I was up in Philly, but I knocked it out coming back here because it was the quality time I can get up in the morning, no real pressure. And it's done wonders, just for me mentally. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, kind of a woosa moment. Awesome. I don't know how long I can keep it. I pray God it stays with me throughout. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Next for me now is it's called a lecture circuit. The book is great. The book is, I call it like a glorified business card. People gives me credibility that I wrote the book. But for me to really make a difference is I've got to get out there and I've got to hold hands and I've got to teach and I've got to get in the weeds and walk folks through. So what I'm building out of this is I've got 3 workshops. One is from rock bottom to breakthrough. Second one is called Create Your Greatness Agenda, Maximize Your God-Given Talent. And the third one is called Keeping Score in the Game of Life, Measures What Matters. So I'm taking chapters and closing them into 3 of these workshops. There's only 3. And at that point, and I'll do a combination, do some keynote stuff, but I'm going to be engaged in teaching young folks on not just, they're going to want, okay, that's nice mental stuff, but tell me how you really climb corporate stuff. So I got to give them a little bit of that. But I'm going to spend a lot of time here because here's what I know. I tell everybody, mental health does not discriminate. No. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. Yeah. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter how young you are, because you got a lot of folks. So, but I want these young folks to know if it's not them, it could be their parents. It could be somebody around them. But this is the engine that drives you. Yes. I mean, this is because all it takes is one little curveball that throws you off your game, and then you ain't in it mentally, other things will fall by the wayside. And my last point is this, is I shared with men last week at the PGA. As a gentleman, it's just not about you. it's about these other stakeholders that depend on you. It could be your wife, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your mother, it could be your kids. So the decisions that you make, if you're starting to struggle mentally, you gotta get the help because there's too many people that depend on you.
I love that because I was going to follow up with the question, how does that work with the rest of the family? Because since we take mental health for granted so much, but then there's something going on inside of me. But then I have my daughter, my husband, so I have my immediate family, then I have the siblings, then you possibly have the parents,
That's right.
then you have extended family and your friends. So there's so much to untangle there. But first you have to get this right. But what does support look like? What does support look like for you? Because that's so important too.
It is, it's critical. But they tell you on the airplane, put the mask on you first before you can help anybody else in the seat. So number one, it starts with the commitment to yourself, because here's the watch out. If you're committed to yourself, the other folks will start to come around. It may take a minute, but you've got to show some consistency that you are committed to trying to solve something, fix something, whatever's going on in your life, because particularly as a man, I'm the leader of my household. I've got to get this right. And even if I've got a few things that I call a few headwinds working against me, I've got to fight through it. Because if I fight through it, everybody's still come along. But it will take some work, and it's not going to be easy. Yeah. So you're going to be doing everything possible around what are the things that really give you the best chance to be healthy from a mental standpoint. Yeah.
And then I find that for women, and I may be wrong in saying this, but my perception is that we women, we share more easily.
You do.
I did a session with 4 ladies back in October. We talked about stress, and we share very comfortably. When we did the session about prostate cancer in September, it was like pulling teeth to get them in together, but I wanted to take on that challenge because I said, well, for women, the men who have their wives, their girlfriends, their partners, when you have issues going on with you physically, whether it's the prostate or other things, at that time we were talking about prostate because it was Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, but you want to talk to somebody else, and a lot of times men are going by the training that they received as a child, just suck it up, just man up.
That's true.
And that makes it more challenging,
it
even
is.
As you get older, to say what's really going on.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, no, I'm all right, I'm good, and so that seems like a challenge that I want to work with you on.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, because a lot of times men don't have a role model or somebody that can even feel comfortable talking to them. Because I know my best conversation with some of my buddies is interesting. I didn't tell them when I was real sick. I didn't tell them I was going through mental health issues. Then all of a sudden they started sharing stuff with me. And I said, you remember, man, back a couple years ago? Yeah. I said, well, I was seeing a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Are you serious? I go, yeah. I said, I'm only telling you this because as I'm listening to you right now in the conversation, this thing's starting to get serious. And he said, it is. He said, man, are you serious? I said, yes, I was sick. And once I share that, I get automatic credibility. Mm-hmm. Even though I was keeping it as a secret for me, but now I'm like, hey, listen. I even kid folks now. I said, I was crazy as a bed bug. I said, the psychiatrist looked at me like, something ain't right with him.
And if he can do it,
yeah,
and he's here now,
yeah,
then it's probably not so bad to seek that help.
Yeah. I'm big now telling men, women, get the help, because if you don't, it's only going to get worse. Yeah. It really is.
And what about, so that's for the men who will say, okay, I see my buddy did it, so I can do it. What about the men whose spouse isn't so much saying, no, it's not a mental health, you're fine. They're kind of blowing it up. What do you say to that person? They're talking to you and you know something is wrong, but they're telling you that at home their wife thinks that it's just something that they just need to deal with.
Right.
Because I've heard that too, and it's
going to be a matter of time.
Yeah.
It is really going to be a matter of time because someone that's actually went through it starts to build up, and it builds to a point where, for me, it built to a point where I passed out and it became internal bleeding. We just talked about stress is not something that we always see on the outside. You may see some people's faces start to, you can tell they're stressed out, but it's on the inside. And then one day you wake up and you got something like, wow, what's going on? My heart's bothering me. Nah, it's only a matter of time. Yeah. And you got to, and every woman who has a spouse should be asking all the right questions. Hey, last time you had your checkup. And I go through a list. Okay, it's not just the physical. You go to the dentist. Right. Did you get your eyes checked out? Oh, I don't even take it for granted. I'm here in Florida. Dermatologist. They say black don't crack. Nah, listen. That sun out there. No, I'm going to the dermatologist. My wife says that Jeffrey, you got a cold. You go, no, listen. You just like that car. Your body is too important.
Get your nails done, man.
Get my nails done.
It's not just for the women. I tell my husband all the time.
I love getting my nails done.
Manis and petties.
Yeah. Because here's the other thing I try to tell some of the folks, particularly the seniors, like, okay, all of a sudden now you get to this stage and you want to start to enjoy life.
Right.
When you go you start to travel over to Europe, you got to do some walking.
Yes.
It is. You got to do some walking. And if you're not in half decent shape, you're going to be just sitting on the bench watching people walk by you. So you got to put the work in now.
And that's why I see a lot of people going on the cruises.
You still got to get off the ship. But I'm like, they got no bicycle when they call them on mother leave. Listen, I tell anybody, you got to be, it's a lot of walking. And you got to be in good shape.
I tell everybody, watch the Blue Zones, see how people do it. The longevity is not so much in, it's not so much in just one thing, but it's also in a lot of different ways in lifestyle. And one of them is moving.
You got to move.
Moving. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I love it. And then one more thing that I do want to bring to you, because I've really been just pondering over this, how we bring this to our young people. As you mentioned before, we got to talk to the young people. But in general, in the current climate, so many people have lost their jobs. So many people have lost their jobs. So it's easy for somebody to say, I don't have the money, or, for the specialty care, it's not covered under my insurance, or, I have a certain deductible. And unfortunately, I find that within any package of healthcare, mental health is just not really given the love that it needs to be given.
It's not. A lot of times the insurance companies are going to pay for it.
How do we reach the people who say, well, Jeffrey, I just lost my government job, my good government job that I had, and I can't afford this. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Or I was in corporate, but they had government contracts. Contracts are gone. Now I'm here. It's tough. I don't want to leave those situations behind because they're real.
They are real.
They're real, right?
They are real. I think the piece where I'm going to be leading that is, I want to get you prepared before that happens. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that people miss on it. I was telling a gentleman yesterday, you get these jobs, and I remember my years in Pepsi, 24 years, and one day they called me up, the party's over. It happens. Yeah. That's just the way the world is. So therefore, if you got a job, great. A couple of things need to be happening. Number one, you always got to be working on your skills to get better.
Oh yes.
Yeah, your skills, and you got to pay attention to that, because you're always thinking about, if I've got to, or if I get downsized, or potentially if there's something else come up, my skills have always got to be relevant. Am I learning something new? And I got to volunteer for certain things so I can get certain skills. That's probably number one. Number two, I believe I'm a vision guy. I mean, you got to ask yourself, okay, I come out of college, where do I want to see myself 5, 10, 15 years down the road? Because it really starts with a vision, and I believe in vision boards. 3, the finances. I teach piece on, I did a community college, and this would be a component of the workshop, is teaching financial literacy. And not just the basics of how do you manage your budget. I want to teach you about how do you get the most out of your money. How do you invest your money? And I think I talk about it in chapter 8. I talk about really making your money work for you, because at some point in time, it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when you're gonna get a storm. And when that storm comes, it could either, if you prepare for it, you could probably weather it and be able to move forward with something else. But if you're not, it could really crush you. And oh, by the way, that can create mental health issues, because you all of a sudden you can't find a job, and it's tough out there right now in the job market.
Oh yeah.
And you can barely feed your family, keep the roof over them. Listen, that's anxiety. I want folks to kind of get it. Hey, there potentially could be issues down the road. Let's get ahead of it. Let's get ahead of it in terms of where you look at money. Let's get ahead of it in terms of even when you look at your jobs. I think I'm talking in the book, I said you should be, I don't care if you're a secretary, you should be paying, particularly if it's a public company, you should be paying to the financial health when those reports come out of what's going on in the organization. And you should be asking questions. If it's a private company, it becomes a little bit more difficult, but you can still ask the right questions, because you want to know a little bit about the health of the organization that you're working for. If things are going great, okay, I can feel a little bit more secure. But if they're not, and there's signs out there that will speak to it, then you need to be thinking, okay, should I be looking elsewhere? Or, should I ask questions about maybe I take on a different assignment? But you can't miss it, particularly now in this AI culture.
I was just getting ready to say, I was going to bring it up. You took the words out of my mouth, especially in this AI culture.
Yeah.
You can see the jobs disappearing.
Yeah, you can.
It's just a reality.
Yeah, it is.
You can see the jobs disappearing, but you also have the issue of the younger people not being able to afford their education, the parents not being able to afford their education, and wondering, well, why am I going to go in debt?
It's true.
And get a degree for something that they may not need me there. And the mental health of our youth or young adults, youth and young adults, is also real, right?
Yeah.
So I love the book. I love what you're doing in the book, and I'd say I'm hoping that there's a spot for young people to be able to get the message and get the tools.
Yeah, because I want young people to see 4 buckets. College will still be there. Your return on your investment could be. I read the article last week. Harvard grads now having a hard time finding a job. That's a big ticket. You got trade schools, and according to, again, the Wall Street Journal, right now the math looks like your ROI is a little bit better on the trade school. Young people are creative. You got a business. Leverage that. You got ideas to create your own business. Give you a little bit more, confident in terms of you're not so much depending on it. Ain't that you have to be a full-time business, but you could be still working at your regular job. The other side of it is, this may be a little controversial, is you got the military. I know this is in the world right now, but there's some careers in some of these places where, number one, you can get real experience. They pay for it. And oh, by the way, if you spend 20 years in Air Force on one of these, one of the branches, you get a pretty solid career. Now, granted, there's a lot of stuff going on in political.
I will tell you right now,
yeah.
If I had a son or daughter that age, I would tell them no.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion. But I hear you, and I respect that. But that would be last.
Yeah. Because you got to just look at everything out there. You just can't go with the idea that you're gonna go to get a degree or a master's degree or whatever the case may be. And the world is, you'd love to have this longevity in career, but them days is over. Yeah. Everything's portable now. And even, last piece to this, when young people leave companies, they do the unthinkable. They take the money that they invested and they don't move it back into something else. They spend it.
Because they can't bear the cost of living is so.
And it's dangerous.
I know.
It is a dangerous play. And that's why I think the financial literacy up front is so important, so that if you're going to do that, you need to know what the repercussions are. Because the beauty of it is that money that if you're a young person, and even if you're putting $25 away, and you're getting 10, 20% on your money over the years, over time, man, that's a lot of cash you could have down the road. But because you're not staying at a company for a long period of time, and they will give you your 401k or whatever, they give you a Roth IRA or whatever the case may be. It becomes portable, and then folks look at that, and some folks have to do something with it. Well, you got to invest, otherwise you can get hit with the taxes. But it's tough. It is very tough right now in terms of a young person coming out with 6-figure college tuition in debt, and then you get a job that's not paying you a lot of money.
Well, I think, I can definitely appreciate your focus on the mental health, because all of it impacts your mental health, and to keep hope alive.
Yeah.
As Nancy Jackson used to say, we have to do better, but doing better in terms of preparing our future generations, preparing ourselves or re-preparing ourselves, understanding why we're doing it, but also realizing that we are living in a climate that is just really, really challenging and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But because it's dangerous, we have to address mental health.
Yeah.
And we cannot take for granted the impact of mental health on the rest of our lives, as you've experienced. It's not just stress, it impacts you internally.
It does.
And then, with our cost of living so high, how do we eat to make sure that mentally we are feeding ourselves well enough to function well, but also to keep going, to keep that stamina, keep the energy going, keep the thoughts going, keep everything flowing, keep hope alive. So there's a lot to be worked on.
And I think the other huge curveball, one of the safest places that many people had beautiful care was the government. Government used to be a beautiful pension. You just knew you got with the government, you got a career that you can just retire, walk away with a pension, great benefits. Now that's gone.
I remember when I got my first job at the National Institutes of Health, my dad was like, make sure you keep that government job. It's a good job. Yeah, that was back in the days. Yeah.
But that doesn't exist anymore. And there's very few companies, there's no guarantees out there now. That's why you got to get the skills right, you got to get the money right, and you got to have a vision for worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because with me, my wife, we were married 2 years, and at a crossroads. At first, my oldest, she got pregnant. And I said to myself, okay, is she gonna go back to work, or do I get this feeling that she's going to be a stay-at-home? And I went back and forth for a while, and I started asking questions. Then I remember, true story, she was working for Smith, Klein and Beecham pharmaceutical company out of Philly. I read the Sunday paper one day. I'm like, oh wow, my wife ain't going back yet. She didn't really give me any indication. I wasn't trying to push it. But then I saw this, they were giving out money for folks that were taking early retirement. 30, she had been there like 18 years at that point. So I said, hey, what's your thought? Are you thinking about going back? And then she's like, well, why you ask me that? I said, there's this article in the Sunday paper at Smith Klein that they're offering packages.
Right.
And she said, what do you think? I said, take the package. I said, here's the reason why. I know that once the baby gets here, you're going to want to do your thing. Meantime, I put a lot of pressure on myself. And the pressure was, okay, I'm the only income coming in the house. I've got to stay employed. And I've got to not only stay employed, I've got to stay employed where I'm going to continue to figure out ways to make more money over a period of time. So a career became a real big deal. Yeah. And I told him, I said, if this is the plan we're going to make, in order for me to move up, it's going to require multiple relocations. If everybody's cool with that, we're good. And to this day, I sit back and I look, and I'm a spreadsheet guy. I'm always, even with the baby died, I knew the numbers for the babies. Was constantly also trying to plan for college for 2 daughters. So I became so into it. Then, when Pepsi, after 24 years, had said, party's over, and I was 54, and I said to myself, okay, I still got some runway left. I gotta go find another job. But then I said, okay, I got enough bank put away, we should be okay. But then it hit me, I said, you know what, I gotta get a little bit more creative about what this retirement thing looks like, my pension. Then I started looking at other stuff. I started looking at definitely real estate, so I'd be pretty heavy in real estate. Then I started looking at annuities, something I never even thought about. Because I had time on my hands now, I started digging into it, trying to understand it, because annuities had such a negative connotation to it. Once I started doing the research and talking to folks, I'm like, okay, we got an annuity play here. I told that to my wife. The other thing that came into play was long-term care insurance. Because I said, this caretaking thing is a big deal. And I remember I told my wife, I said, I got an insurance guy coming over today. You're going to talk to us about long-term care. She said, long-term care? I'm like, yeah, just in case one of us. She said, well, you mean tell me you're not going to take care of me? I said, I'm not saying that. I said, but the responsibility is tremendous. It'd be nice to have some professionals that would help support. And I said, take it one step further. When we're up in age, do I see Bianca and Juliana bringing us in? I don't know. The young people now, I ain't taking nothing to get you. The young people, it's just different. So I told them, they know it now. I say, listen, mom and dad got long-term care. We have to end up, and particularly dad, I want to be at a Taj Mahal. Just come see me once more. You ain't got to worry about me. The money's there. So I started thinking about so many aspects of constantly, what do you mean? Like weddings and my youngest daughter, when they get married and dad got money, and I said, Mom, do you think Dad is going to help support the wedding? Oh, sure he is. I said, so okay. So she said, my teacher says me, it gives me a number. I ain't gonna put it out there. So I said, oh, you and your sister get married the same day? And I said, well, that's a big number you asking me for. So then I said, hey, that's hard-earned money. I said, put it on an Excel spreadsheet. Let me see where every dime's going, and then we can talk about it. So my mindset had become, because I was, we were a one-income family, I read it like an executive. Yeah. You got to think of all these, what's going on, what the moves you're going to make. And the last piece, which is critical, and I think I talked about it in the last chapter, life is meant to be lived. And life is meant to be, there's a balance. It's a balance where you're doing some living now and you're planning for the future. Because you want to be able to enjoy your youth with your family, see some things, but not just blow all your money. Right. As you get older, you may dial it back a little bit, but you want to still have that balance. Yeah, I got college I got to spend for, I got weddings I got to pay, but there's certain things we want to do. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people miss, that there's a balancing approach to this. And because I was just a one-income family, I got into this thing. I was granular about the money aspect of it, but also having a vision. Now they all get it.
Yeah, and I hear you. But what I also hear is the having access to things to make that happen. Whereas with the supposed good government job or the young entrepreneur today, it's so much different, and
it is different.
We're not not to keep making excuses for that, but that's where we need to help and do the work. And I feel that one of the reasons that I'm doing the Hibiscus Tea Cafe is to talk about all things health and wellness, mental health, spiritual health, physical health, financial health, you name it, everything incorporated, right? It's not just one thing, because the pressure that's on our communities today,
it's tremendous,
to make it. It's so much that to talk to somebody about, okay, well, let's start talking about your mental health now. They might look at you and like, I'm trying to feed these kids. I don't have time to talk about mental health, right? But we have to keep going. Yeah. And I'm hoping that with you just collaborating with other people, because we can't do it on our own.
No, you can't. You can't
have that voice, continue the conversation, keep talking about it, so that people will realize that. Okay, there are places where we can actually talk about these things, and there are people who will actually listen and understand with no judgment. And there are tools out there. It may not be all the tools, but there's different tools out there. And I feel like we've lost that a little bit as a community.
We have.
That we don't see ourselves as resources anymore. But I still strongly believe that I'm here to be a resource. I'm here to be a voice.
Yeah.
But my voice alone is not enough. Your voice, everybody else's voice, right? And to have different experiences, right? I have experience in the government, outside the government, experience in politics, not in politics. You know, understanding how local policies, how they impact our financial situation, how they impact our health, how they impact how we have access to food, right? Those kinds of things. All of that is part of our health and well-being, and I'm hoping to.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of what you just said, see, you just got me excited, because the different backgrounds that we have will add a lot of value. But I think what's really going to add value is just having authentic conversation.
Yes.
And authentic conversation is around what ifs.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't talk about what ifs. Everybody's just going on about their business. Hey, let's do a couple what if scenarios. Right. How would you guys? Some of my best learning coming up has always been case studies.
Right.
Oh man, there's a situation here. How are we going to deal with this? And I think that's a piece that we really need to have with some of the young folks out there, some of the what ifs, because they may not get exposed to that.
Exactly. And then, so that's the young folks, but then the retired folks, the what ifs that I've been talking about is, okay, so now you're here, you're retired, you got your nice package, you know, you're living in a lavish community. What if, right? Because your lifestyle still matters. Right? So have you thought about what would happen if you continue this type of lifestyle? And you and I know we're living in the same community. How many people all of a sudden end up in the hospital, and then it's, you know, let's pray for brother so-and-so, and the next thing, let's go to the funeral for brother so-and-so. And we both know that what happened was preventable.
Well, let me ask you something. That's a great point. You understand. So here's the deal. I have an 11 o'clock appointment tomorrow morning with Solar Vita University. I'm not going in there with a scripted course.
Right.
I actually I can't think of the lady's name off the top of my head, but I gave her a book. I'm going in there with a conversation. I want to seek to understand a little bit about where does she see someone. I'm in this mental wellness space. But I'm not coming in there with, okay, a cookie cutter, here's what I got, a program.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I want to begin to have some dialogue to see what she's thinking, where are there potential opportunities here, and then maybe come back and maybe we can collaborate on some stuff. Because I'm like, I knew there's some stuff missing here. And I know people struggle going through some things. I just don't know where it is.
There are people here, I have been asked by some of the clubs to make food for people. There are people struggling, can't pay their HOA, they can't pay for their food.
Indeed.
And that's really a reality.
Yeah.
You know, we're also living in a time where it's not so much that the young people can't afford the house, it's that the older people can no longer afford to keep the house. That's another mental stress.
Yeah.
Right? How do you, and if you are not prepared, right? Maybe you only have that social security check coming in.
Yeah.
The stresses that brings, I have seen that in people. You know, those stresses are real. It's sad to see, breaks my heart to see someone who had an entire career, worked hard all their life, maybe had a good government job, but worked all their life, and then come here and struggle because things keep going up. We're in the food desert, we can't afford things, and then the what if happens. They're not prepared.
They're not prepared for it.
And then the partner is not prepared.
Yeah.
Right? So there's so much to be done. And so I thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for having this book. Everybody needs this book. And just for spending time in the community, because you're talking to a lot of people and opening up conversations that people were not having. Yeah. Especially with our black men. Yeah. We have to have these conversations, and I'd say let's continue the conversation.
Absolutely.
Let's continue.
You got it.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Appreciate it. Yes, welcome to Rock Bottom University. The Ultimate Guide to Rising Up is now on Amazon for $24.95 paperback, $9.99 for Kindle. There's 5 themes to this book. Theme number 1, do not let where you launch from determine where you land in life. Theme number 2, do not let your moments in the valley keep you permanently enrolled in Rock Bottom University. Theme number 3, do not be led by your distractions, but by your dreams. Theme number 4, embrace God's word in Jeremiah 29:11, your best is yet to come. And theme number 5, leave a lasting legacy of impact.
Thank you for watching this tea chat. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also make sure that you check out our other social media links below.